Hey guys, it's Kevin Kreider with Pursue More Than Just Muscle, and I wanted to answer a few of these questions for you because it really means a lot to me for the Asian American community to hear some people that have been in the industry for a while, especially entertainment and media. And let's go. What does it mean to be Asian American? Does an Asian American culture identity actually exist? What it meant to be Asian American in the past for me was just seen it to be as different. It seemed like we were always trying to fit in. We weren't really hated. We weren't really loved at one point, and we were almost ignored at some point in our culture. And that was actually probably worse. I think we weren't hated. We weren't loved. It was like indifferent. Nobody had an opinion. And then it got worse and worse, and people were making fun of everybody, like the Asians, and then Asians started making fun of Asians, and then it seemed like we were trying to fit in more with the white culture instead of just making our own identity. And now what I see happening with identity like that actually exists right now is that we're almost fighting each other for a one-up on each other, male and female. And now it's just a good opportunity now for both genders and male and female to create an empowering identity that we are no longer going to be quiet about this. We want people to perceive us in a positive light. And I think that's what's really empowering. And there's like this new opportunity for us that we can switch the vision of the way the American people see us, and we can break that pattern. We can break that viewpoint that they have of us now, and I think that's really a great opportunity. So I think there's room for growth in American Asian identity. Like we can be whatever we want, and because we're smart, we're great looking, we're intelligent, we have awesome skin, we have everything. We literally have everything to our advantage, and now it's time for us to shine. All right. Okay, let's get the ball rolling. Tell us a little about yourself. Open-ended question. So a little bit about myself. I'm Korean adopted from a German-Irish family. I was surrounded by pretty much a white culture my whole life, always looking towards comic books, and I used to play Magic the Gathering a lot when I was younger, and comic books, and absorb myself in World of Warcraft. So I know what it's like to be a nerd. I mean, truthfully, I feel like an inner nerd half the time because I know what it's like to be super introverted and quiet and not have any confidence. And then like when you're got that deck of cards and you're being a mage and you're casting spells, it's like the only time you feel like you have freedom. And that changed a lot for me as I got older and developed a love for fitness, which is my new passion. It's not new actually, but it's been a passion of mine, fitness, lifestyle, and nutrition. And that's been it for me for a while. So I have a lot of nerdy sides, and this person that I've created was my own doing. It's who I imagined. It's who I wanted to be. Oh, shoot, there's more questions. For some reason, I think that's like the last one. All right, so tell us about yourself. Now, what is something interesting about yourself that no one would expect just from looking at you? I think the interesting thing that nobody would expect just from looking at me is that I was obsessed with my hair looking perfect when I was younger. I mean, like everything had to be perfect. Like my hair was like flat like this at one point, and it had to be like, the spacing had to be right, the length had to be right, and I hated haircuts because I was like, it was gonna change the way it looks, and I was very self-conscious of my image, especially my hair growing up, because I thought it had to look perfect. And now it's crazy, after losing my hair from an autoimmune disease called alopecia areata in 2013, where I lost almost all my hair. Now I just don't even care really. I barely use hair product unless I'm gonna be on camera or anything like that now. So it's pretty cool. So what's your family story? I was Korean adopted. I don't really know much about my family story except that my family had me, and I was adopted when I was about 1 or 2 into my grandfather, and then my grandfather gave me up to an adoption center, Holt, in South Korea, and I've gone back and tried to find family records, and I can't find anything. So my family history now, though, is they grew up in Pennsylvania, married at 18. They're now divorced at around 30 years of marriage. So that's my family history. I have one brother. What was your greatest struggle and how did you overcome it? My greatest struggle was trying to be very comfortable in my skin growing up. I didn't really like who I was, you know. I had a lot of identity things because, I mean, not only being Asian American male, but just feeling like it was unfair that girls would turn me down just because I was Asian, especially Asian girls. That was like a great struggle. Like a lot of self-worth was lost, especially growing up. And it sounds silly now, but it's like when you're a little kid looking for an identity and looking for what you want to do, and you're sensitive and you're growing and going through puberty and all that kind of stuff and hormones, and you have all these pressures, school pressures, girl pressures, being popular pressures. It's confusing at the time, and it really was damaging in a sense of I looked towards the community that I was in, which is a white community, for validation. You know, like I had a little pride in knowing that I was like a banana. Like I looked yellow on the outside and white on the inside. And I kind of took pride for that for a while. And actually now it's an insult to me because I'm like, you see me as inferior just by the way I look. My personality, you can tell I'm Americanized or whatever, or cool to you, and that's not a compliment anymore. So that's something, and really, like, this is going to be like maybe a fitness blur, but getting into fitness really helped me. I mean, I broke those stereotypes. They thought Asian guys were skinny and unattractive. I mean, if you saw photos of me, I wasn't very attractive growing up. I was nerdy with glasses and skinny and awkward and gawky looking, and I worked out and transformed my body, and I transformed my mind and how the way things worked for me, and I got a positive self-image of myself. And you know, having a great body is not all of it, but I did a lot of work internally for myself to be able to have what I have, and it took a lot of trials and errors. It's just that was my greatest struggle, and yeah, I mean, it really helped me to create that identity for myself, and to actually help other people who have a low self-esteem too. That really helped me as well. What are your dreams, aspirations, passions, or future goals? So my dream is to be an influencer online for fitness, for health, lifestyle, coaching, not life coaching, but coaching other men, boys, to grow up into confident, healthy, powerful human beings, especially Asian men. Because I know what it feels like to feel like you're just so like stuck in this little world, and you're not feeling good about yourself, and you don't think you're desirable or attractive enough or sexy or beautiful. And it's a weird word to call a man sexy, but like, you don't feel sexy, you don't feel handsome, you don't feel manly or powerful. So that's something that I want to do, and my aspirations is to be able to have a great fitness channel and to be able to coach people and to to speak in public settings and do events, not just on this topic of Asian empowerment, but also for nutrition, health, and fitness, and the mindset that it takes to get there, because the mindset's 80% of everything, and that's what I'm really good at. And I know I'm good at speaking to people, and I just really want to be able to get out there and have a good impact on the younger generations growing up, and be a good positive role model, because I was role model-less growing up. I couldn't identify with anybody because I was always just looking at the way they looked, and there was a disconnect. You know, there's always a little disconnect if those people don't look similar to you. And I can definitely say I was role model-less growing up, and I don't want that to happen to future generations. If you could give one piece of advice to your younger self or young Asian Americans, what would it be? It would be to have a really good self-positive image of yourself, to do things for yourself so you can be confident on the outside and bring something positive to the world. A lot of times when I was younger, I would just think of myself too much though. Like, what am I getting, and what's getting taken away from me? And I realized that's the wrong way to think. It's like, okay, I did this in the last video log that I just did, but it is to be so fucking confident, not cocky, confident. It comes within, because it's the way you view yourself, a positive self-image of yourself. To be so confident that they can't ignore what you say. to be so fucking handsome, to be so sexy, to be so outwardly beautiful, which is an inside job too, to be beautiful on the inside, that they can't ignore you. To be so great that they can't ignore you, right? And that's the example that you should just be. You should just be the example, and people will, they can't ignore you, they'll follow. And don't follow the status quo, man. I know that's an Apple thing, but I didn't follow the status quo, and I've been able to do all the things I'm doing in my life, and I'm speaking to you guys now about it. And if I followed the status quo, I'd be stuck maybe at a comic book store, I'd probably be at a comic book store, because I wanted to be a comic book artist when I grew up, but I sucked at drawing, so that was a bad career choice. So that is definitely something, an advice that I would give. What does being Asian American mean to you? Oh my God, I'll tell you what it did mean in the past growing up. It meant that I was doomed to be single or have a girlfriend that I wasn't even attracted to, because it was just settling. To have a career in something like math or science, but science more of because math I sucked at. To be kind of introverted more and not really stick out or be able to make an impact in the world. And now what it means to me though is an opportunity to show the world what we're made of, to be empowering, to be the underdog. I love the underdog story, right? People underestimate us and then we achieve so much. So it's good to be the underdog right now, because they won't know what hit them when it does. And I think it's an amazing opportunity for us Asian Americans to do that for them. But we can't just go around, obviously, and just pointing fingers and blaming and not doing anything. We still have to take action and become those great people, those aspirational leaders that I know we have inside of us. We just need to start doing it now.